Welcome everyone, I'm David Aboud. Today's webinar will focus on 6 steps to master project storage with Altium 365. Connecting Altium Designer to Altium 365 enables powerful functionality to connect with your team and conveniently share projects. Throughout the webinar, I will start some poll questions. If you have any questions, please place them in the Q&A panel. And if there are any issues, please send them over in the chat panel. Okay, let's get started. During the webinar, we will begin by discussing project storage methods. The storage method you use will greatly influence how you approach both ECAD and MCAD collaboration. We'll look at traditional methods of collaboration and then some of the capabilities enabled by Altium 365. We'll then review challenges that occurred during project discussion of key areas, achieving project goal alignment with key stakeholders like customers, and lastly, sending designs to manufacturing. Today, there are many project storage options, but the methods vary slightly for individual and collaborative work. But most of them have some common disadvantages. The first major issue is the creation and maintenance of any storage space. Once the storage is created, you must have a way to handle the security and integrity of the stored project data. Files can be easily lost or corrupted, and most methods make it difficult to return files to a previous revision in the case of modifications and corrections. Then you must consider access to the stored projects. It can be difficult to balance access and security. If you need to remotely access your files, a VPN is often required, hindering accessibility. Without easy file accessibility, both ECAD and MCAD collaboration become troublesome. To make matters worse, project discussion, goal alignment, and sending files to manufacturing often require the use of additional programs. So what does the Altium 365 platform enable to overcome these issues? The first step we will discuss is centralized project storage and how it will enable the next step to master project storage. The goal of Altium 365 is to provide the most connected experience for PCB design and realization. An Altium 365 workspace is a united repository of data where secure access can be managed to projects and components. I covered the component management aspect of Altium 365 in my last webinar. A workspace can be activated in seconds with sample data containing hundreds of commonly used components and an example multi-board project. You can store any existing projects and also create new ones without the hassle of required server or storage maintenance. Plus, you can access the workspace from any device with your Altium Live credentials. So you always have access to the latest files no matter where you are. My favorite thing is that any project stored in your workspace can be shared with just a web link and viewed with no license required. Project collaboration with local files does not allow people to work on the same files or at the same time. So everyone must finish their work and kind of pass it along to the next person in the chain. This often leads to disorganized file revisions, with several team members having different revisions of the same project files. There's no way to actually work together, making the concept of a team unclear. Additionally, if you need to make any corrections or undo changes, you actually have to track down the changes you've made and repeat any work you have already done. The way to start solving these issues is to use version control so we can track and log changes that have been made. In Altium Designer, you can create and maintain your own version control system, or VCS. However, this requires you to know how to set up the VCS in the first place, and you have to maintain the system moving forward. An Altium 365 workspace provides a Git repository for version control without the hassle of setup or maintenance. Your team can work on different areas of the same files and then merge changes when complete, enabling concurrent design. Since all the files are in one place, everyone is always working on the latest file revisions. When working together on a project, you can create your own team. You can invite any team member as a user and grant permissions based on user roles. For example, librarians, schematic engineers, and mechanical engineers. All project changes can be saved to the workspace and tracked with comments for traceability. You'll also be notified if the version of the project is no longer up to date. ECAD collaboration with mechanical engineers requires some special attention. The designer receives input data with restrictions on the location of design elements and instructions for the exact location of holes and connectors. Often it's a drawing rendered in another program that must be exported and then imported into Altium Designer. As a result, the whole drawing must be adapted accordingly to necessary layers and PCB shape. The mechanical engineer then typically receives the finished PCB for further work with shields, cables, and other elements to position in the context of the enclosure. Discussion on changes is often difficult as both teams must work outside of their native CAD environment to communicate. In turn, changes are often delayed and implemented incorrectly the first time. Altium 365 allows you to reach a new level of collaborative work with the MCAD CoDesigner. You're able to work with native files in Altium Designer and any supported MCAD tool. You no longer have to import or export any external files. Best of all, information exchange is bidirectional, so you don't have to wait for a drawing from a mechanical engineer, and they don't have to wait for you either. You simply push your designs over to the workspace, and then the mechanical team can pull the files into their MCAD tool. Each push gives you the opportunity to comment on changes, improving communication while providing traceability. The design data is automatically translated into native MCAD files so that they can work with the files in the context of the enclosure. In turn, a full model of the circuit board with the location of mounting holes, the necessary connectors, and keep out areas can be sent directly to Altium Designer. During the design process, any corrections of the element's location, board shape, or other issues can be solved quickly by the mechanical engineer or the PCB designer. Any changes will show up in real time in the design environment. When the design is complete, both teams have a complete printed circuit board model in their native environments. No collaborative project is complete without some form of project discussion. Let's review some of the challenges found in traditional discussion methods. It can be very inconvenient to discuss and make corrections because it can be very difficult to identify the topic of discussion. When you have to carry out all of your communication outside of the context of your project, miscommunications are increased. To make matters worse, there's no way to properly share your current design files outside of Altium Designer. This makes it difficult for stakeholders to communicate without using a viewer to see those files. Lastly, remote work often requires external software once again and a VPN. Altium 365 allows you to place comments from within Altium Designer or any web browser to completely eliminate these problems. You can add a comment to a selected object or an entire area on the schematic or the PCB. All comments display in the comments panel, keeping everything organized and synchronized in real time between Altium Designer and the web interface. Comment synchronization allows you to share your design with key stakeholders without the need for external software or licenses. You can work remotely, accessing your files from anywhere with just your Altium Live credentials. Once we finish the project, we need to align with the customer. For many designs, the customer in these terms is your own company, but it can be a private person or a contract, and they all lead to the same challenges. First of all, many key stakeholders do not have the necessary programs for project viewing, and sometimes they're unable to actually use them. This requires you to change the project files to a commonly available format as outputs, such as a picture, a PDF, or a printout. Any modifications from the customer and the process must be repeated. We've already mentioned the ability to share projects with the MCAD CoDesigner and the links for commenting. However, the ability to share designs extends much further than that. You can view any project in a browser with no need to convert any files into a readable output. Plus, you don't have to wait until you're done with the design to share the project. So there's no need to synchronize anything with the revision in the web browser because the project in the browser is the same as the one in Altium Designer. You still have the option to share a project snapshot that presents a static view of the design. We can use either a temporary link without the right to comment, or we can provide full access to the project with the ability to leave comments. The last thing we're going to discuss is sending files to manufacturing. Traditionally, we need to generate the outputs manually, or we can use an outjob file for local generation. Once the outputs are generated, we often have to use a third-party system to send those files to manufacturing. Another great advantage of Altium 365 is the ability to release a data package to the workspace and then send it directly to manufacturing. The data package is automatically generated from defined outjob files, maintaining consistency of data packages across projects. Once the released outputs are stored in the workspace, we can simply send an email with all selected design packages from the web interface to our desired manufacturer. Let's move on to the demonstration. I already have a project in my workspace. This project is available as part of the sample data you can include when you activate your workspace. In this example, I have removed the project to demonstrate how to upload the project to the server. We open the project and select the Make Project Available Online command from the context menu in the Projects panel. The project name will be filled in automatically. However, the project description needs to be filled out, preferably with something descriptive. This description helps us with project navigation in the future. Select the Enable Version Control checkbox so that several users can work concurrently on the project at once. The Advanced drop-down menu will specify the path where the project will be located in the workspace. Click OK and wait a little for the whole process to complete. After the project is saved and located in the workspace, green check marks will appear to the right of the files to indicate the version control status. The green check marks indicate that your local revision of the files is synchronized with the revision in the workspace. Now we have the opportunity to view this project in a web browser. The command automatically moves us to the project location in the browser, and here we can view all schematic sheets, the printed circuit board in 2D and 3D views, the BOM, and any released outputs. Let's take a look at how we can create a team to work on the project. To do this, go to the Team tab and click the Invite Team Members button, which allows you to add new members. A window will appear right away where you can enter the user's email. We can specify the role that the user will have. A user can have multiple roles and be given a role after creation. If you don't have the required role at the moment, you can leave the field empty. You can also leave a comment and press the invite button. The added user is then displayed as a team member and they will receive an invitation by email. They can start working on the project as soon as they accept it. New roles are created in a similar way. Go to Admin Roles. Let's use the Add Role button. We specify the name of the role and the email of the member we want to add. Then we click the Create button. If it's a new team member, you might get a message that the user is not a member of the workspace. You can also assign a specific role to a user who is already invited to your workspace. You can see that the role has been added and is applied to the user. Now let's go back to Altium Designer to see how we can quickly find the projects in the workspace. In the File menu, select the Open Project command. Instead of local storage, we have selected our Altium 365 workspace. Once we have the project open in Altium Designer, we can give access to another user. You can share the project using the Share button in the upper right corner of the window by entering an email address or username. You can also leave a note that the user will receive in the invitation email. The drop-down menu controls the level of access given to this user with view or editing access. In order to give editing access, a user must be invited to the workspace. After sending the invitation, we can view anyone who has access rights under the Who Has Access link. Once again, we can edit access rights. You can also provide access to a project snapshot that cannot be edited. Access to the project can be provided by a link or by specifying a list of email addresses. Users who receive the link will be able to view the project in the browser, but will not be able to comment on it. Let's generate a link using the Generate Link button. Generated links are available for 48 hours. All the schematic sheets, the PCB in 2D and 3D views, and the BOM are also available here. In order to be able to comment on and discuss the project, we must share it with specific people. You can leave a note and click the Send button. Open the project and any document. Any object or area is open for discussion on your schematic or PCB. We can select a specific object, an area where there may be several objects, or manually select an area. The Comments panel displays any added comments. We can double-click on displayed comments and navigate to the source. The comment can then be resolved, edited, or deleted, or you can add another comment to the thread. Next, I want to demonstrate the bidirectional data transfer with MCAD tools. To open the MCAD CoDesigner panel, we need to make a PCB document the active document. The Push and Share button allows us to send the data to the workspace and to leave a note for the mechanical engineer without leaving Altium Designer. Enter the email address and message for your mechanical engineer and click the Share button. When the data is successfully sent, you will receive a message. We have several webinars discussing the details of the MCAD CoDesigner for board shape creation, component placement, and general usage that I recommend you check out. When we pull the data, all design files are downloaded and translated to native files for your MCAD tool. I'll make some simple changes and push the changes using the push button. When we return to Altium Designer, the changes display in the MCAD CoDesigner panel. We can preview the changes before applying them by clicking the View Changes button. Deselect any changes that you don't want to apply and execute changes using the Apply button. The last thing we'll review is the generation and sending of project output data to the customer or manufacturer. From the context menu, select the project releaser command and click the Options button. Here you can select the necessary outjob files to generate and send project outputs. Click the Prepare and Release button to start the process. Agree to create new folders for the project release and save the project revision. Then output verification and data generation will take place. Make sure that all checkboxes are green at the review data stage. When the files are generated, we will be asked to place the prepared outputs in the workspace. Specify the reason for the release in the description and click OK. At the last step, the data will be generated and placed in the workspace, providing links for quick access. To send output data directly to manufacturing, go to the project in your workspace through the browser and open the Manufacture tab. Click the Send to Manufacture button to add released output files, and then fill in the email address for the output recipient. Here you can also view previously released outputs. Let's review what we saw in the demonstration one more time. Centralized project storage allows us to have all the design files in one place to ensure access from anywhere. Anyone working with the files has access to the latest design files due to the built-in version control that requires no user setup. We can then push and pull any design files with MCAD tools for quick and easy collaboration. We can also add comments to our projects to facilitate design discussion while we share our designs with defined user access. When we're done with our projects, we can release it to the workspace with outjob files for output consistency and package any outputs, sending them directly to manufacturing. With that, I want to thank everyone for their time. Once again, I recommend to review the MCAD CoDesigner webinars for more information about that functionality. Let's open it up to some questions.